Pena, it's all you.
Now?
Yeah.
All right. So my name is Richard Costas. I live in Northern California. I'm 37 now, and I used to suffer from alcoholism. Being addicted to partying was my main thing. I was addicted to the party life, addicted to the fear of missing out. And it really started for me at the age of 28. I had been in a long-time relationship. Let me start right here. I grew up in a good family, great parents, upper middle class, provided everything I could have ever wanted, you know, loved me unconditionally, always unconditionally. So I had every opportunity growing up. And I did fairly well, you know. In high school, I was a great wrestler. I started at a hotel, and within 2 years, I was managing the hotel, 3 hotels. And then I left that, met a girl. We were together for about 4 years. And then we moved to Vegas together, Las Vegas. At the age of 28, we broke up, and I decided I'm going to go on a month-long binge. You know, I'm going to go on a month-long binge because I deserve it. I'm single. And that binge went from when I was 28 till about 2 weeks before I turned 35. And wow, let me tell you something. During that process, I slowly observed myself go from being someone who I had respect for to becoming a person I never thought I'd become. You know, I remember some of my hardest points in Vegas. I would wake up at 2 in the afternoon. I worked in the restaurant industry. I worked on the Las Vegas Strip in a huge restaurant. And I'd wake up at 2 in the afternoon, just hungover in a blanket of shame, just hating my life, hating my own guts. Just like, I did it again. I went out last night. I spent all my money. I did a bunch of drugs, alcohol, drinking, did exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. And I wake up with this hangover and this unbearable shame and just feeling of despair and hopelessness. I'd wake up at 2. I'd order a pizza, and I had a car, but it was broke down. But I was making good money, but because I was partying all the time, I never fixed my car. So I'd order a pizza and just feel like crap, and then I'd start walking to the bus stop. 30-something years old, walking to the bus, and just feeling depressed and demoralized, smoking cigarettes. Get to the bus stop, I'd be sitting there like trying to hide behind a shrub because I'm embarrassed to be at the bus, you know. Get on the bus, and it's not the best energy on the buses. Get to the Las Vegas Strip. I'd walk a mile to work, and I'd stop in different casinos on the way and take shots and drinks and beers. By the time I got to work, I have a buzz going. I get to work, sit in the cooler for like 5 minutes, the big walk-in cooler, and then go to the bartender and be like, hey, pour me a fat one. They'd pour me like that much alcohol. Start my shift like that. Halfway through the shift, me and my homies, we order some Coke, ecstasy, be popping pills, always drinking and partying during the shift. Get off work at 1 in the morning. My exit was onto the Las Vegas Strip, which is popping, or into a casino, which is popping. And it's 1 in the morning, you're with your homies, so you're going to party. End up partying all night till 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning. Say, I'm never going to do this again. I hate myself. Wake up to just repeat the process. I did that for years. And then I went to Chile for 6 months. I was happy for 2 months. Then I was right back to where I was, suffering with alcoholism, because everywhere I went, there I was. And really, I lived this life, and I just kept getting worse and worse, kept going down to this hole. I never thought I was going to get out of it. I truly remember living with my parents at 34, waking up and being like, thinking, you were 23, running 3 hotels on reality shows. Now you're 34, living with your parents. How the heck did I get here? I couldn't fathom it. And I was just like, I'm never going to get out of this. Like, it was just so heavy, the pain and the shame and regret. It was just demoralizing, man. But it all ended one day. I remember I'd been sailing for 2 months, partying like crazy. I took an Amtrak across the United States, broke, couldn't even afford a freaking sandwich on this 7-day Amtrak trip. And I get home on the Amtrak. I wrote to myself, I'm never drinking again. I'm never partying again. I still have the thing on my phone. And I got back to my hometown and I immediately started partying again. Just, you know, just like we always do, right? Say we're going to do this, say we're going to do that. And started partying again. And 2 weeks after that, I was like 3 weeks before my 35th birthday, get a call from my parents. They're like, hey, Rich, can you come by? And we just want to have a little chat. I'm like, sure, no problem. Go over. And as I walk in, I'm like, I can sense the energy. I'm like, this ain't no normal meeting, yo. You know, I'm like, this ain't, something's up here. And I'm already, so I'm like, anyone who's watching this has any sort of addiction problem, and your defense is on high. You're like tensed up because you know some shit's about to go down. And so like they bring out some letters and they're just reading to me like, we've lent you money X amount of times. You always say you're gonna pay us back and you never have, you know, and they're just hitting me with daggers that were all true. And I love my parents. I never raised my voice to my parents ever. So I'm just sitting there taking it and I'm getting mad, but it's all true. So what am I gonna say? And then the thing that hit me the hardest that I'd never once considered is when they said, the way you're living, the way you live worries us, concerns us, hurts us. I'd never once considered that. And my denial, my delusion, my self-centered greed, just selfish way of living, I never once considered how I was living was hurting them. And when I heard that, it was just like a freaking getting slammed in the face with a brick. I just felt like the biggest loser ever. And I was still mad. I was still mad about the whole situation because when you party with alcohol and drugs, it becomes like a girlfriend. It's like a relationship. It's not just a substance. It's like that thing is with you. You have that wherever you go. It's part of you and it becomes you. And you can't imagine life without it. So the idea of someone trying to take it from you, man, that ego just, oh, you just jump up and you're like, hell no, hell no. Ugh. But there was just, I've been wanting to quit for a while. I just couldn't. And at this time when they said that, I was like, I gotta be done. So that was June 18th or 17th, 2018. And called my homie Roman up, my best friend. I'm like, I'm done, bro, I'm done. He's like, I'll quit with you. And I called my other homie up, best friend Gary Rhodes up, because we had booked a trip down to Antigua because he's a sailor of a boat. And we were gonna take a boat from Antigua, which is down below the Virgin Islands, up to Rhode Island. And I knew if I went on that trip, I wasn't going to stop partying. So I'd be like, sorry, I can't go. And that was the beginning of me being sober. And Mike, I'll tell you this, when I first got sober, it was like getting out of high school. It's like, who am I? What am I going to do? Like, I had no idea who I was. And so I was like, what do I do? And all I had ever heard of was AA. So I'm like, I guess I'll go to AA. So I went to AA and I was just like this, just pissed, just like this fucking bullshit, dude. Like, and I go in there and two things happened. One, when I heard you can never drink again, I was really pissed. I thought they were gonna like fix me and I'd be able to drink. But then when I heard people telling their stories, it was like medicine for me because it's like, damn, I relate to this. I related to their stories. They were like me. And so for the next 90 days, I went to like 2 to 3 AA meetings a day. And it was helpful. I never went through the steps. But after about 90 days, it ran its course. I was like, okay, I feel like this ran its course. I got what I needed out of this. And then from then on, it was just like self-discovery because I, for 10, 12 years, drank and partied and I had this identity that like, I thought I was cool. I thought I was a pimp. I thought I was smooth. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize I was just an insecure loser. And when you get sober for 4 or 5 months and you really start realizing like, dude, I was not cool. Like I've been a loser for a long time. I thought I was something I'm not. And then it's like looking in the mirror for the first time and actually seeing your face. You're like, this is who I am and was. And it's hard to deal with. So I'm continuing this journey. I'm taking classes at the college, looking for external ways to find who I am. And at first it's good. Like I'm getting stimulation out of it. Then after 3 months, that wears off. I'm taking online sales courses online. For the first month or two, it's great. I'm getting stimulation, but then it wears off. And I'm just searching, man. I'm searching for like, who am I? Like, what the heck is my purpose in this life, dude? Like, I don't get it. I'm going to Tony Robbins events and they were amazing. I met great people and I was learning stuff about myself, but I still was like, what's my purpose, dude? I don't know who I am. I'm traveling. I'm doing good. I'm making good money. I'm my own boss now, and I'm doing better than I've ever done, but I'm not fulfilled. And so I'm just still searching. I'm like, I hear about this plant medicine called ayahuasca. So I think I was about, I want to say 18 months. No, this must have been 12 months into being sober. I booked a trip to Colombia, and I went down and I went to Colombia and I did ayahuasca, which is a plant medicine that's been used in South America for thousands of years. And the idea is that it really purges you, cleans you out, but it forces you to deal with what you've been avoiding your whole life. And it takes you to a place you need to go. And it was a very powerful experience. Taught me a lot about myself, my ability to endure adversity, and I learned some very powerful things. And when I left there, I continued traveling through South America for 2 months, well, mainly Colombia and Peru. And on that trip, I dealt with because when you travel alone, it's like you're a lot of, packing and learning new places and meeting new people. And the emotions are ups and downs because like you're on a high, you meet a friend or a girl and you're really stoked. And then you have to leave this town, then you're lonely again. Then you get to know this town, you feel good, and then you have to leave the town. It's like ups and downs. And so I was dealing with adversity, but I was finding myself through outside sources. And but the thing I was proud of is what was really cool about being sober and traveling was once we party enough, you have like x-ray vision. And you can tell when someone's drinking, you can tell when someone's coked out, you can tell when someone's whatever, because you've done it so much that you just know. So I'm traveling I went to 16 different cities and towns in Colombia and Peru. And there's lots of tourists, especially in a place like Cartagena. And you're walking down the street and they see the whitest dude in the world with a big ass red beard. They know I'm a tourist. Like, hey, amigo, quiere la coca la mota, ¿qué quiere? And I'm just like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good enough. And they're just in your face. I'm like, no, really, I'm good. I don't need that shit. And I'd also look around, see these foreigners walking around, like you can see they're coked out, like looking for all God knows what. And they're slaves to it. Like they can't even enjoy this beautiful country they're in because they're so slaves to it. And it reminded me of how I used to travel. I remember one time I had sailed from Florida to Cancun, myself and another guy. And when we got there, I took off, went traveling through Mexico alone. I go to this little island called Isla Mujeres, beautiful small island. I'm basically walking around hammered and coked out the whole time. I met a jewelry dealer who had a coke, basically sold coke out of it and out of the shop. And I'm just coked out, walking around drunk the whole time. I live there. I go to Playa del Carmen. I'm sitting at a bar next to these two girls, and they're showing these dope pictures. I'm like, that's gorgeous. Where is that? They're like, oh, it's Isla Mujeres, the same island I was just at. And I had no idea because all I did was party, right? So, so I'm now in Colombia and I'm just traveling around free. I don't need alcohol. I don't need weed. I don't need coke. I don't need shit. And it was a very powerful, beautiful feeling because this was the first time I'd ever traveled. And I've done a lot of traveling where I did it right. I did everything I wanted to do. I traveled to 16 different places. I made a last minute trip to Peru, traveled to 4 different places. And when I got back to America, it was the first time I ever came back from a trip where I had no regret. I was completely content with how I lived because I did everything I wanted to do. I didn't party and waste all my time and just wake up in a blunder every day and ashamed and regretting myself. So I get back, and during I was in Colombia, I'd come across this guy named Wes Watson on YouTube. He was on this interview with this guy, Big Herc. And it's like a prison show, people who are fresh out of prison, what it's called. And Big Herc's interviewing this big, just buff, tatted guy. His name is Wes Watson. And I'm like, dude, who is this guy? Like, it's just like, boom, just energy coming at me. I'm like, there's something about this guy like that. I just was so engaged and compelled. Like, it like changed me just watching that first interview. And so I was like, dude, it just made me, I just started researching him, come to find out he had these programs for helping people change their life and find their purpose. And so I started digging into it, and I found like he had like a little community, and then he had like he do these question and answers every weekend. You could be a part of this membership. And I was like, all right. I was nervous to do it because I didn't know anything about him. And on the outside, he's a savage, dude. He's a big buff dude who was in prison for 10 years, you know, but he truly loves and cares about helping people. And so I started working with him, and this is when my life really changed. This is when my life really changed. This was about 8 months ago, February, March of 2008. 2020, I get back from South America, and I start following his program. He has a macros program, which basically you manage the amount of carbs, fats, and proteins that you eat on a daily basis, which helps you get ripped, very physically shredded. On top of that, he has you doing a very early wake up time and reading positive content and working out really hard. Now, why is this important? Why am I sharing this? The reason is this, because each one of those aspects create adversity within our life, intentional adversity that we have to overcome every day. So every day I started waking up early. At that time, I was around 4:30 in the morning. I'd go into I'd do some positive reading, some journaling. I'd eat my first meal, and then I'd go into a hard workout. And the thing about the macros is you have a certain amount of fats, proteins, and carbs you can eat a day. So you have to be weighing all your food. And 5 times a day, you have to choose purpose of eating something that's going to fit your macros, or pleasure that's going to eat some crappy food that's going to screw you up. And it's incredibly hard to not eat the food you want to eat, the pizza, the chocolate, the ice cream. Like it makes you create this high level of discipline. And it makes you go deep within your freaking soul to choose what's hard. And so this is what starts happening. You start realizing, like, I'm showing up for myself every day. I'm waking up early. I'm doing the things I said I was going to do. I'm working out hard. I'm hitting these macros. And then you start seeing the weight come off. You start seeing yourself get shredded. And you're like, holy shit, like this is working. But the thing that happens is after you get physically shredded, the feeling from that goes away. And you start to realize, like, it's about being shredded, yes, because it's a standard. And we like to say there's no better resume than a physically shredded body, right? But it's the lifestyle you have to adhere to, the early wake up time. So when I wake up in the morning at 3:30 now, there's not many mornings I want to get up at 3:30. I mean, people like to say, I'm not a morning person. Like, I don't want to get up at 3:30, but I know I have to win. So I get up at 3:30. I'm like, ugh. Within 10 seconds, I do this and I smile. Cause I'm like, I haven't been awake for more than 10 seconds. And I stacked my first win. And I go straight into doing my ceremony. I'll light some sage and I'll say myself a couple little sayings and prayers. Then I'll go straight into, I'll write a post, something positive. And then I'll go straight and eat my first meal, which is English muffin with coconut oil, freaking protein drink with cacao powder and cinnamon. And then I go straight into reading and journaling. And then I do 100 burpees. I lead a group burpee sessions where we do 100 burpees with push-ups. Why do we do that? Because it's hard and because it creates this positive mental attitude, this high rate of vibration. All these steps I'm going through, I'm stacking wins, overcoming adversity, which every time you have to overcome adversity, you have to go within to find yourself. And then I go to the gym, hit a hard workout, and then all day I'm choosing purpose over pleasure with my meals. So what this causes you to do is it forces you to go within, to forge a path within to yourself, where you have to go within and find the strength to overcome these daily wins every day. Some days are very hard, like today was. I was struggling today with the food, and then some days aren't so hard. But you create this pathway to within, to where you start to know yourself. What happens when you show up for yourself every morning, every day, and you do what you say you're going to do? I'll tell you what happens. You start to love yourself, respect yourself. You start to be able to rely on yourself. You start to know who you are. And when you have these things happen, it creates this unstoppable power. I like to call it your super freaking powers, because now you are the source. Now I am the source. I'm not looking for some external drug to make me feel good. I'm not looking for some external food, some vice to make me feel good, some show. I'm looking within. I'm looking to overcome. I'm looking to go within to overcome, to make me feel good. And so now my life really is simple. What I used to think was important was like having, like, first it was the party, the drugs, the girls. I used to think I was cool. hooking up with girls. Now I just look at that and it's like, you were just freaking insecure, pathetic loser, bro. Like, it's not cool to be like, oh, I hooked up with this many girls. Like, that's lame, dude. Hey, when you're maybe in your high school or you're 20, hey, I get it. That's what you do, right? But when you're 33 and you're like, yeah, I hooked up with this girl, it's like, come on, man, grow up. But now it's like, I take pride in the fact that I go through my process every day. I take pride in the fact that I'm living in such a manner that inspires others to live better, inspires others to want to be better. And so if I could share anything with anyone watching this, is to understand that you're talking about a guy who was 34, almost 35, broke, borrowing money from his family, smoking 2 packs of smokes a day, drinking every day, doing coke 4 or 5 days a week, popping basically whatever was around, popping ecstasy, popping pills, just hating my life, truly believing in my heart and in my mind that I was never going to stop. Like, I truly believed like my best years had passed and I never thought I was going to be out of it. And it was just like, I was so confused because it's like, dude, you were young and successful. What the fuck happened to you, bro? Why can't you stop? Why do every day you wake up saying you're going to do this and you're going to do that and you let yourself down? I went from that over 12 years of that. I mean, it's easy when you hear 12 years, but really think, for those of you who are watching this, I went from that to now becoming someone who's successful, running my own business, supporting myself off my own business. I'm a leader of people. I'm a leader of men and women. I lead people. People look to me for advice. The people in my small town that used to like be disappointed in who I'd become, now they come to me for the fucking strength, for the advice. So understand this as I'm wrapping up here. Understand this. I don't care where you are, how low you are, you can change your life. If you're willing to do the work, first starts with this. You got to be able to admit that you're the fucking problem. No one else is the problem. You're the problem. So start pinpointing where you're dropping the ball, where your weaknesses are. Because once you can admit you're the problem and you can take responsibility for it, you can change. Until that freaking point, you'll never change. So take ownership for it, okay? And then start with imperfect action. Who cares if you don't know what you're going to do? Just start taking action. Go to AA, read books, do whatever you got to do. Just start doing something. And then start with a morning process. Start waking up hella early, reading a good book, find out how to eat macros. You can YouTube it, okay? And then work out really hard. Start there, do it every day. Don't ever give up and watch your life change. Watch your life change. I do it. I see it happen every day in the community I'm in. It's a fact. So if you don't make it happen, that's on you and your weak ass excuses. I say that with love, okay? But you on you and your weak ass excuses. So don't be the guy that lets your family down anymore. Lastly, if you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram at Rich Costas, or I have a website, richcostas.com. Check me out. Shoot me a DM. I'll help you if I can. But again, I want you to understand this. I'll say one last time. I don't care how low you are. I don't care where you're at in your life. You can change your life. And if you're thinking of excuses right now as I'm saying this, that's the victim mindset right there. We found your problem. Much love. Let's go.